It doesn't look like a huge change from the outside, but this new BMW X5 has a major tech overhaul going on inside for the 2019 model year. In just one generation, it's gone from a vehicle that I like to drive but maybe wouldn't recommend to being one of my favorites in the class. Let's hop behind the wheel and we'll see what's new. Now, BMW hasn't done anything too dramatic with the X5's exterior design. It still looks a lot like the previous generation, which means that, especially in this white, it's a bit anonymous looking. But there are some nice sharpening of the details, like new headlamps and new tail lamps, and features that I really liked from the previous generation make return appearances. Specifically, I'm talking about the split tailgate, which you can push a button and have it open up like a clamshell to give you unfettered access to the rear cargo area. But there's also a setting where you can have them open separately, which I prefer, which keeps your groceries from spilling out if you park on a hill. Now, under the hood, this X5 X40 drive-i is going to be powered by a 3-liter inline 6-cylinder engine that makes 335 horsepower and 330 pound-feet of torque thanks to a twin-scroll single turbocharger. It's going to put that power through a single-speed, 8-speed automatic transmission on its way to the standard xDrive all-wheel drive system. Now, this powertrain is really nice. It's smooth, it gives you really confident acceleration and torque delivery, even in the Eco Pro mode, which I've been in for most of the week to give this thing its best shot at fuel economy. I've averaged around 20 miles per gallon, which is nicely in line with the EPA's estimates of 20 miles per gallon city and 26 on the highway. However, when you put this thing into its sport mode, especially after being in Eco Pro all week, it starts to feel really special. 0 to 60 happens in just under 5.5 seconds on its way to a modest 150 miles per hour top speed. But the power delivery in sport mode, or my favorite mode, Sport Plus, is just very responsive, and this car feels alive. On the handling side of things, this vehicle is equipped with an optional air suspension that goes from firm in its comfort setting to even firmer in Sport and Sport Plus, which is fine if you're into that sort of thing. Personally, I like how responsive this ride and steering are, and it means that this SUV is more fun than a vehicle of this size should be on a twisty bit of road. However, it does mean that you're going to feel every bump and undulation in the road, and especially every pothole, which is maybe not the most desirable trait in a luxury SUV. Now, the biggest change for the X5 of this generation are going to be the new technologies in this car. In the dashboard, we've got BMW's Live Cockpit Professional, which is kind of stupidly named, but it's BMW's answer to Audi's Virtual Cockpit. It's going to combine a 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster with a 12.3-inch version of BMW's 7th generation iDrive infotainment. We dive deep into these technologies in a separate video, which you should definitely check out, but the short story is that iDrive is better than ever. It's much better organized, it's way easier to use, and there's more ways to use it, including a new large touchscreen. However, it does still have a lot of the shortcomings that old iDrive had, including no Android Auto, almost no integrations with Android whatsoever, and the fact that they charge a subscription for Apple CarPlay, something that you get for free on a base Toyota Corolla these days. That's a little ridiculous. At the end of the day, though, it's the best that iDrive's ever been, and I highly recommend that if you're interested in a BMW, you check this bad boy out. The other new technologies are driver aid technologies. There's a new assisted driving mode, which is a combination of adaptive cruise control and lane keeping steering assist that's going to use the power steering to keep this car centered in the lanes. There's also BMW lane change assist. So when you have assisted driving on, if you hold down the turn signal, the car will automatically check its blind spot and then use steering to steer you into the next lane. Now, these are both hands-on technologies, and BMW uses sensors to make sure that you're doing it, and there is a camera on the dashboard watching me to make sure that I'm watching the road and not distracted. So what have we got here? BMW's look for the X5 hasn't changed a whole lot, but if you were a fan of the previous generation, that's probably a good thing. And personally, I prefer the sporty handling to a lot of the more laid-back models in this class. And while iDrive is not the best in its class, it's greatly improved and is now among the better technologies you'll find at this price point. Overall, this 2019 BMW X5 is the best the X5 has ever been. Now, this greatly improved BMW X5 still packs a price premium. The 3-liter that we've got here starts at around $62,000 with options. The V8 actually doesn't start till around $75,000, making this still, I think, the sweet spot for most people. But you know BMW likes their expensive options, so this particular example tips the scale at around $72,000 as equipped. Now I think there's a sweet spot somewhere around $65,000 if you trim back some of those options. You'll be left with a very well-equipped vehicle that'll compete well with pretty much everything else in this class.